Most people assume that the rich collect higher Social Security checks than everyone else, than the middle class and lower income people. That's not always the case. So we're going to talk through why that is, and what Robert Kiyosaki's Social Security check might look like today.
He's one of my favorites.
I do too. I mean, he gets a little quirky sometimes, and he gets to be a little, doomsday-ish. But Rich Dad Poor Dad is a classic, and he thinks differently about money than the average person does, and that's really the point. Is he's trying to encourage people to think differently about money and to think a little bit more dynamically about it, a little more three-dimensionally about money and investments and debt. So first things first. Denny, what is the maximum Social Security check that someone can collect in 2025?
Well, in 2025, it'll be about 5,100, which
That's right.
is really not a lot compared to the costs of living.
Well, that's true. So yeah, 5108 is the maximum Social Security check that someone can collect in 2025. It's worth reiterating that Social Security was never meant to cover all of a retiree's living expenses. It was initially intended to cover around 40% of a retiree's living expenses when it was first introduced in the 30s, and continues to this day. That's sort of the benchmark that people use. Say, it should cover around 40% of your living expenses. Um, yeah,
Let's make it clear, though, that is the maximum,
yeah,
and a lot of people don't get the maximum.
almost nobody gets the maximum. Because to get the maximum, you would have to earn above, at or above the FICA tax cap, income-wise, for your entire career, and you'd have to wait until 70. That's if you're waiting until 70 to get that maximum benefit as well. So almost nobody gets the maximum Social Security check, and probably not Robert Kiyosaki either. So Robert Kiyosaki's net worth is estimated at around $100 million by Celebrity Net Worth. That's an estimate, of course. Nobody actually knows. It's not public information. Now, Robert Kiyosaki himself, he claims that he has 1.2 billion in debt. In debt.
Really?
So that would make, so if that's true, if both of those things are true, then he owns 1.3 billion in assets minus 1.2 billion in debt, leaves him 100 million as a net worth. And the reason that we bring that up, Robert Kiyosaki has always been very savvy with debt and with minimizing his active income, minimizing his taxes. So there's no way that Robert Kiyosaki is collecting that maximum Social Security benefit. He gets most of his income from capital gains from investments, from dividends, and from distributions. He's not distributions. You do pay those full income taxes on, but a lot of the ways that he collects income, FICA taxes don't apply to those, right? Capital gains, and he borrows money from cash flowing assets as well as money to live on. So, and none of that triggers FICA taxes, and FICA taxes are what pays your Social Security, right? And that's what determines, what you pay in FICA taxes determines the benefits that you get, when you retire. So what he often does is he'll go out and he'll buy a cash flowing apartment complex or, some kind of cash flowing real estate. And, he'll borrow as much as he possibly can against it. It'll still cash flow a little initially. And then every year that goes by, it cash flows better and better as rents go up, and as the property value goes up. But his loan goes down, right? And his tenants, whether they're commercial tenants or residential tenants or whatever, like they're basically paying off his loan for him, and the cash flow gets to get better and better every year. He lives on that cash flow. 5-10 years go by, the property's gone up a bunch of value. Go out and he'll refinance it and pull out even more debt, and he'll live on that debt, right? Or live, and it'll still cash flow a little bit even after he refinances, but he gets to pocket all the money that he took out, the cash out from the refinance. And this is often how the wealthy collects money to live on, is by borrowing against cash flowing assets, companies, real estate, etc. It doesn't trigger taxes. But the flip side of that is it doesn't boost his Social Security benefit either, of course. So the bottom line here is that Robert Kiyosaki does not count on Social Security checks to live on, especially with an $100 million net worth. You shouldn't count on them either. Yeah, so right, nor can you. And we did an entire episode about Social Security reform and what that might look like. The different proposed Social Security reforms that are coming, because they have to change it. They have to reform it because the Old Age and Survivors Fund, the OASI Trust Fund, it is projected for insolvency in less than 7 years. In 2032, it's projected for insolvency. So they can't keep doing what they've been doing. They have to reform it. And all those reforms are going to be painful and ugly for all of us. I mean, it's basically a combination of lower benefits, higher retirement age, and higher taxes. So it's all bad stuff. It's not going to be fun. I mean, the fact is, retirees have enjoyed too strong benefits for too long. Is the bottom line. I mean, is what it is. And now that party's going to end, and the benefits are going to be cut down because we don't have enough workers paying into the system anymore. And we have too many retirees taking from the system. So that's all going to change. That is inevitable. You can't count on Social Security. You will get something from it. I'm not saying it's going to disappear. It will still be there, but it's not going to be what it was.
And it's not going to be enough to live on.
No, and it never was. But it's going to be even worse. I mean, it's benefits are going to slim down just from the math. I mean, that is the math. So you can't count on Social Security.
For a very long time that was it. I'm going to retire and go on Social Security and
put up the pink flamingos in the yard and sit out there with a lawn chair and sip a pina colada.
No, that's not what's happening.
Yeah. So look. Robert Kiyosaki does not count on Social Security. You shouldn't either. Diversify your income streams. This is exactly what we do every month in the Co-Investing Club. We get together, we vet a new passive real estate investment. Often they are very high yields, high income, which is great. The one that we did last month was a land fund that pays 16% in distributions, which is a really nice yield. It's a fund that we've invested in before and had really good experiences with. So yeah, I mean, these sorts of high yield investments can make a big difference in your retirement earnings. So, and in reaching financial independence long before retirement too. Ditching your day job potentially, or early retirement, or just going and doing your dream work while living off of those income streams that you built up from your investments. Real estate investments, stock investments, etc. So, yeah. Oh, one final thought. Don't take Social Security early, right?
A lot of people do that.
Yeah. So if you want a higher Social Security benefit, wait until 70 if you can, or at least wait until the full retirement age of 67. And that full retirement age is probably going up, like we just talked about. Denny, anything else you want to add before we call this episode complete?
No, I just think it's a great. I love our investment club because it does prepare everyone for retirement. I'm close to retirement age, and we have quite a few members that are, and they still, invest. And I think, that speaks a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, if you got a fresh perspective out of this episode, please subscribe, follow, pass it on to your friends, family members, neighbors, colleagues. And if you're new to the idea of passive real estate investments, which most people are, let's be frank, it's an unusual way to invest. We have a free course on just some of the options available, from syndications to funds to private partnerships, private notes, how they work, what we look for, as we vet them together as an investment club. We meet and we all look at these together. So check that out, sparkpanel.com/free. It's 8 episodes. They're all super quick, like 5 to 10 minutes long. And on that note, stay weird, unconventional investor. We'll catch you next time.